the News Channel 5 network. This is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Barris here on a Thursday. It's good to have you here. And this is a good topic. I think we try to do this every year right around this time. Not to say that you can't be feeling a little blue anytime during the year and anytime before any number of holidays that we embark upon throughout the year. But I think during Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate, sometimes that can highlight times of missing loved ones. If you've had a death in the family, it's the first Christmas without mother or father or something along those lines. There can be other reasons you're blue at the holidays. You know, you've broken up with a significant other. You find yourself alone somewhere and you're down. I've made this argument that, you know, we always talk about, the festivities around Christmas or the holidays, if you will, or any time during the year. It's a lot of fun and a lot of neat stuff for a lot of people. And it's also a big time bummer for a lot of people, and it's a little bit of both for some of us. So if you're feeling grief and you're a little down and it's not quite, you see on TV, everyone's, you know what, you're normal. You're normal if you don't feel quite right. It's not all, pumpkin pie and turkey. There can be some down stuff as well, and that is a normal feeling I think we all can have, some worse than others, and there's help out there for you. And so we're going to talk about that this morning. We'll open up the phone lines as well if you want to join in the conversation, but there's organizations here to help, and Alive is one of them. With us this morning is Alive's Grief Center Director, Ali Drescher. Hi, Ali.
Good morning.
Nice to have you on, and you brought with you, I think it's great, Maria Sesay. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
You are one of the clients that have, a counseling client that went here. You had lost a loved one and had to deal with that. Thank you for coming on to share your story with us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I guess if you would, let folks know a little bit more about Alive.
Sure. Alive has been in Nashville, founded in 1975. We're the third oldest hospice in the country. And so there's a long legacy and deep roots in Middle Tennessee for sure.
I think people have heard Alive Hospice. Now, because as I think of it, so Alive is that organization, Alive Hospice, and that also deals with end of life for folks as well, too, right? Go on then, I'm sorry.
So we care for people in a variety of ways, including palliative care. Gotcha. We have pediatric care. We have an institute for training, and then our grief center when we care for people who have experienced a significant loss. And there might be an impression that we just serve Alive Hospice family members.
That was my impression.
Great. Okay, well, that's a lot of people's impression, but we serve the entire community at large, regardless of their affiliation with Alive prior to the death. So we serve people that have a lot of different types of losses at any point since the loss, despite whether they've ever used Alive for hospice care before.
That's so interesting. That's great. I just learned something. And I guess I probably should have known this, but I'm guessing you're right. Most of the public thinks Alive Hospice, end of life, that kind of care. Can you just let folks know, how do they get in contact, and what are the costs involved? I always like to throw that out at the beginning. How does it work?
Sure, that's a great question. We try and make it as simple as possible. We know in the wake of a loss, people have a lot of responsibilities, maybe new roles they're contending with, a lot of things on their plate. So we want to simplify the process as much as possible. All it takes is a phone call to our grief line, and that's answered by our grief services coordinator. She does just a little bit of a phone intake, maybe 5-10 minutes, but it also gives that caller an opportunity to talk about their loss a little bit if they're ready to do so. And she then schedules that person with one of our counselors if they're interested in individual counseling. So we offer individual counseling to the community at a very reduced rate of just $30 per session. Wow. We do have additional scholarships available if needed.
Can insurance sometimes cover some under certain circumstances?
It can with a private practice clinician, but at Alive we find it's more convenient just to negate that process altogether. So we never turn anyone away based on inability to pay, so it's never an issue. If finances are a concern, we still want people to call us, and we will find a way to go ahead and get them in, thanks to the very, very generous donors that are in support of Alive. So they make that phone call. We can set up appointments for individual counseling, but that's not all we do. So if that's not what they need, we provide groups, workshops, one-time opportunities, memorial events for them to come and honor their loved one and learn learn a little bit more about how to cope with their loss. Not everyone needs one-on-one counseling. In some cases, that's really beneficial as well. So we like to offer a wide variety of those services, again, that are open to the whole community.
That's great. Well, obviously you're busy all year round. Is this a busier time of year?
It is.
Okay.
In November and early December, it's quite busy. I'm just contending with looking toward those holidays, as you mentioned, regardless of what holiday you celebrate. I like to think that there's a couple things that push the intensity of grief around this time of year. One is time. We have an awareness of time that starts to set in. We're looking at the calendar page flipping over, and it brings that awareness that maybe things are different than they used to be. Another is tradition. So regardless of which holiday it is, we have a lot of traditions that take place at this time of year, and as you so eloquently said at the start of the show, it brings to light the fact that maybe someone is absent in the midst of those traditions, or maybe they're the person that really was the one to implement those every year, and then things have changed. And then togetherness is the other key here, that this is a time of year that's all about family, and people are spending a lot of time together, and so there's a real focus on who our support system is and maybe what's lacking there. And so all of those reasons can really intensify grief for people, and yes, it keeps us busy this time of year.
I would imagine. Well, I guess what you set up is kind of what you were dealing with, Maria. Your father passed away a couple of years ago.
He did.
And you're very close to him.
Yes.
And I imagine it was very hard when he did pass, but as you know, certain milestones throughout the year came about. How did it affect you, and what brought you to Alive?
Actually, I called Alive after the holiday season, oddly enough. And my father, he was the sole person that was into the holidays. We always went over to his house. He always did the cooking. He was the one that kept us together. So the first Thanksgiving that he wasn't here, I just traveled. I tried to keep myself busy. And then it was really Christmas time that it hit me. And instead of being with the rest of my family, I just picked up an extra shift at work. I tried to stay busy, but as time was going by and the other holidays were coming, I was starting to feel more grief. So I believe it was February after the new year, I called Alive because I realized that I couldn't run from this, that grief is something that you have to experience.
How was it affecting you? Were you having trouble sleeping? Were you just finding yourself feeling very depressed? Were you able to function? What was it that was getting you to the point where you sought help?
I would say depressed. I was unable to focus.
Okay.
I even had some guilt. A lot of times when I was out with friends having a good time, I felt that maybe I should feel down, maybe I should be mourning. Is it okay for me to be this happy and enjoy my life like this without my father? So all these experiences, I was able to talk to my loved ones, but going to a counselor was much better, knowing that a counselor is trained in grief support, and I was able to be vulnerable and understand that my feelings were warranted. So that definitely helped me. And I actually saw the beauty in death. As odd as that may sound, I understood that life goes on. It's actually challenged me to live more of a full life. Just because my father isn't here doesn't mean I need to stop, but to live a full life, live happy, go after my dreams, after my goals, and make others happy in life. You never know when it's going to be the last time you see someone, so cherish every moment. And I've been able to see and experience the beauty in life.
Yeah, I mean, and it really must have helped then. I guess this is what it's about. I think you probably understood some of that somehow in your head while you were going through this, but it helped to talk to someone.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, maybe help, as you said, think more clearly through the process. Is that what she described there, a lot of what you see sometimes when you're dealing with the depression that comes maybe with the loss of a loved one?
Absolutely, and you said it up front that most of what we're experiencing is normal. At the Grief Center, we believe that grief is a normal, natural, healthy reaction. And sometimes we are faced with a society that doesn't give us an outlet to explore that like we did maybe 100 years ago in America. So we might feel oppressed in how we're expressing that mourning component, and that piece of mourning our loved one really allows us to process and wrap our minds around the fact that they're no longer present, and we have to redefine our lives going forward. So most of the time we're helping people see that it's okay what you're experiencing and helping them learn how to live with that. So we like to say that that we're not fixing anything at our Grief Center at Alive. We are there to companion with people as they go through the experience of grief, and maybe plug in some tips and tools and strategies that they can use along the way so that they feel like they can integrate the loss into their life going forward and learn how to live with grief instead of trying to run away from it.
Yeah, I just think that's great that you say that. We'll take a break here. And you're right. You don't have to run for it, and you have to have strength to at least seek some help too and recognize there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it's true, folks. You watch, look on social media, see the TV commercials. It's not real, okay? Real people get up and they also get down. And so if you're feeling a little blue during the holidays, that is normal, in fact. I mean, that's just the way it is for a lot of folks, because we all have loved ones that maybe we've lost and other things going in our life. The key is that there's help out there to deal with it and make it through it, and eventually the holidays will be over. And people are like, what, Nick, don't you love the holidays? I like the holidays, but you know what? I have a big sigh of relief when it's over. That's just me. The number 737-7587 is the number if you'd like to join in the conversation. Share a story of your own as well, or if you have a question for our guests, fine. If not, you can sit back and listen. We have much more to talk about. We'll be back talking about, holiday grief and how you deal with it right after this.